Tree appraisal. The site and the setting. So far, we've spent a lot of time looking at the tree itself, its biology, its dimensions, and its history. But a tree doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in a site. If you're preparing for TPAC, you'll quickly learn that the 10th edition of the Guide for Plant Appraisal made a monumental shift in how we look at a tree's surroundings. We no longer just look at location as a single percentage. We look at site and contribution as distinct, powerful factors. Today, we're going to decode what it means to evaluate the setting and why a tree's value can double or vanish simply based on where it's planted. In the previous editions of the guide, location was a bit of a catch-all category. It was often where appraisers felt out the value. But the 10th edition demands more rigor. It breaks the old location rating into 3 specific parts: site, contribution, and placement. Let's start with site. Think of the site rating as the base value of the neighborhood. Site is about the land, not the tree. You are asking, what is the quality of this real estate? A tree standing in the middle of a world-class botanical garden or a high-end luxury estate starts with a very high site rating. Why? Because the land itself is highly developed, maintained, and valued by society. Conversely, a tree in a neglected industrial vacant lot starts with a much lower site rating. As an appraiser, you have to be objective. You aren't judging the beauty of the site. You are judging its functional and economic status. Is it a high-value residential area? A commercial zone? A public park? Each of these has a different baseline. Next, we have contribution. This is where we look at what the tree does for that specific site. This is my favorite part of appraisal, because it's where your arborist skills shine. You're looking at the functional benefits. Does this tree provide a privacy screen from a busy road? Does it provide shade for a patio that would otherwise be unusable in the summer? Does it frame a view of the mountains? If a tree is providing a critical function, its contribution rating is high. But, and this is a big but, if a tree is poorly placed, its contribution can actually be negative. Imagine a massive silver maple. Beautiful tree, but it's planted 2 feet away from a house foundation, and its roots are lifting the driveway and the sewer line. In that specific placement, the tree is a liability. Its contribution to the site's value might be 0, or even a negative number, because it's a ticking time bomb for the homeowner. One of the biggest hurdles for students is distinguishing between site and placement. Think of it this way. The site is the stage. The tree is the actor. And placement is where the actor is standing on that stage. If the actor is talented but standing behind a curtain where no one can see them, their contribution to the play is low. In the 10th edition, we use a site rating to reflect the overall quality of the area, and then we use the contribution and placement ratings to fine-tune how much that specific tree matters to that specific property. Let's talk about a real-world example. Consider a street tree in a dense urban corridor. The site rating might be quite high because it's a high-traffic, high-value commercial district. The placement is standardized. It's in a tree pit. But the contribution? That's where the value is. That tree is mitigating the urban heat island effect. It's catching stormwater. It's making the storefront more attractive to shoppers. In this context, the tree's value isn't just in its wood, it's in its service. This is why the 10th edition is so much more powerful than previous versions. It gives us the language to explain to a city council or a developer why that one tree is worth $20,000 in ecosystem services. For those of you prepping for the TPAC, practice your rating justifications. The exam won't just ask you for a percentage. It will ask you to justify why you gave a site a 70% or a 90%. You need to use the 10th edition's criteria. You need to talk about land use, property maintenance, and functional utility. If you can't explain the rating doesn't count. The site and the setting are what turn a tree appraisal into a real estate asset valuation. It requires you to stop looking at the bark and start looking at the boundaries. In our next episode, we're going to get into the heavy lifting of the math. We're talking about the cost approach. We'll dive into the world of nurseries, LCANT, and the big debate. Is planting an additional cost or a core cost? If you're following along in the 10th edition guide, read the section on site and contribution before our next episode. It will change how you see every yard you visit. Until next time, keep your standards high, your site ratings justified, and your tree values credible. You've been listening to the Arborist-podcast. Our goal is to grow our collective knowledge, one domain at a time. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to help us keep this momentum.